Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting a floral paintbrush. Really fun. We've done one similar to this a few years ago, but this one's going to be a little bit more comprehensive, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to show you step by step how to do this one. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey, everybody.
So he's man in chat. If you've got questions, you can ask those, and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, I've got a special guest here today. I've got some of my flowers from my garden, mostly my snapdragons. Here's some of the larkspur that's coming up, and some of the salvia. But lots of snapdragons survived the winter, so we're excited about that. And I'm going to move it out of the way so it's not getting the shadows in my shot here. Sadly, it's kind of right on the side where my, I don't know, well, you just get the little peak of shadow there.
So not right.
I know. But we'll use them for our color inspiration tonight because I like the pinks and yellows and purples.
Subscribe for more flowers.
Yes. I'm also using some fluid paints. I usually use heavy body acrylics, but tonight I kind of pulled out as many of the fluids that I could find. It kind of started and then stopped. I don't know what happened there. So.
Sorry. I'll try that again.
Subscribe.
We're pros.
Yeah, okay. I've got a watercolor canvas tonight. This is a 12 by 12. You can see that it's painted gray. I used burnt sienna, carbon black, titanium white, and buff titanium. So just kind of white, off-white, kind of in equal parts, much more white than anything else. A little bit of black and a little bit of burnt sienna just to give it kind of a warm gray tone. You could probably use burnt umber with a little bit black, or burnt umber and blue, ultramarine blue, something like that would make a nice gray, just whatever. But I decided to go ahead and go with gray instead of just plain white for our background. Let's go over our colors. I've got carbon black. That's weird. It's got, let's zoom in a little bit because it's got like part of the black in there. Zoom in on this canvas a little bit.
On which canvas?
This camera. Thank you. Okay, there. Carbon black, burnt umber,
I see.
burnt sienna, yellow oxide, India yellow, cadmium yellow hue, cadmium yellow medium hue, that was in the fluid, cadmium yellow light in the heavy body acrylic, Pyrrole orange, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo blue green shade, Cobalt teal, or actually in this case it's just teal in the fluid, Phthalo green yellow shade in heavy body just because I didn't have it in fluid, green gold, and I decided to grab a sap green, which is a dark green that's like a pre-mixed color. It's got PR 101, which is like a burnt sienna. It's red iron oxide. PG 36, which is the phthalo green yellow shade, which we're already using. PY 150, which is a nickel azo yellow, which is similar to the India yellow, and then PBK 7, which is carbon black, which we already have. So if you want to pre-mix it, you use those colors: black, burnt umber, green, and yellow. And you'll get a sap green. I'm just going to use it pre-mixed because I had it in the bottle, and it'll save us a little bit of time tonight. But just go ahead and mix up some dark green. Okay, so keep going. Unbleached titanium or Titan buff, titanium white, and then some satin glazing liquid. All right. And then for brushes, I like to use like Filberts and rounds for my flowers. So I'll have a few rounds, a Filbert, an angle for some leaves, and the squared off brush for our brush itself, because we'll want something a little bit squared off. So I've got a couple of different sizes of different ones in the Velvet Touch and 6100 series from Princeton there. And all right, I think that's it. Let's get going here. I don't want to run out of time. Last week we had to finish our video on Saturday, which turned out really cool, by the way. If you missed it, it actually is pretty neat. Let me show you. It's like a little encyclopedia of all kinds of different flowers and butterflies and bees and ladybugs and mushrooms and stuff. So all in one. Pretty fun little tutorial.
Well, two tutorials.
Yeah, 2 tutorials exactly.
4.5 hours long
Right, total.
for free.
So lots of good stuff in there. All right, so I'm going to start out by drawing out the brush part, just so I know kind of where we'll do that first, and because everything else is on top. I always work from back to front. So I want to kind of center it and kind of mark that line out and kind of stop where maybe about 1 inch from the bottom there. And I'm starting, if this is probably halfway, so I'm starting just a little bit below halfway for our cross piece, and then you're just going to make a rectangle. So however wide you want that top piece to be in the picture, you know, it's not that wide or not that, you know, deep, and then you're going to cut off just the very bottom sliver of it there. So we'll have just a little tiny bit of that wood showing, and then from here you're going to angle down the corners and try to kind of get them even. If you want to measure this, you can. It's up to you. I'll have a traceable for this, for those who don't like to draw, and then round it out and kind of bring it to a point. I'm making mine a little bit more chunky than in the picture, just because I want plenty of room for my flowers. So that's going to be my basic shape, I think. I might bring that one up just a little bit more. And I'm just going to use a wet towel to kind of clean up any edges. I'm just using regular chalk here to draw. Okay, so that'll work. And then the rest of this will be all our flowers and things. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So let's go ahead and start out. I'm actually going to start out, I think, by splattering, because we're going to have a lot of splattering going on in the background. So I'll probably do that before I do this brush part, because it'll probably get over the top of it. I don't necessarily want it on the brush itself. So I'm going to use a, and I should say also, if you have a little gray scale finder value scale, we're basically right here. We're in the value 3. It's 2 from black. So a little bit dark. So we've got all these values to play with for our colors, and then we can go darker if we want to. So anything lighter than this is going to show up against this background, basically. So I'm going to get a fan brush, and we're going to need lots of water for this, and I'm going to get a little bit of the glazing medium to add to it as well, because when you add water to your thinned out paints, or your paints to thin them out, especially your professional paints, they don't have as much binder in them. They have more pigment, and so they can not stick to the canvas very well if you add too much water. So I'm just adding a little bit of binder, which is our glazing medium. You can use any kind of acrylic medium will work. There's all kinds of different ones that are sold: matte medium, gloss medium, airbrush medium. Any of those mediums for acrylics will work to just help bind this to the canvas a little bit better. Okay, so I've got a nice little fluid here, and I think I'm going to use kind of a light purpley color. So I'm going to get some ultramarine blue and some white, and I want a fluid white, so I'm going to use my titanium white instead of in the fluid instead of that white, because that's a heavy body. I'm going to keep that handy because I might need it later. And the reason I'm using the fluid acrylics and not the heavy body acrylics for this one is because when I'm doing flowers, you tend to be doing like a little more brush stroke type petals and things. By brush strokes, I just mean like you use your brush and you kind of want to get it in one go, each petal kind of thing. When you're doing that, it's helpful to have a more fluid paint. All right, so let's use this color and see how it shows up. Okay, that looks good. Might go a little bit darker with the blue. And the more soupy it is, the bigger the splatters will get. So If I want big splatters, I might need to get a little bit more water on my palette, and I'm just going to kind of spray it out in the direction of my flowers. Okay, like that. All right, then let's do some green. So I'm going to get green gold and just add it to this color here. I want to get it a little bit more soupy, so I'm going to try to get like a little puddle of extra soupy green. And maybe really concentrate it in. There we go. Get some bigger blobs. You know I'm in my happy place right now, getting to splatter. This is...
I mean, this looks like it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would actually, just like
Just
this.
different colors, like
Yeah.
just blowing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
with a
sure.
brush.
Yeah, and just like some little circular. In fact, I think I'm going to simplify it from the reference photo because I feel like it's a little bit difficult.
What, with 3,227 flowers in there?
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of simplify it a little
Cut it
bit.
back to about 1,000.
Exactly. Exactly. But this gray is working out really good for these colors. It's looking really nice against them. And then for the last one, I think I'll use do a pink. So I might just work into this bit of the blue. Maybe get a little bit of there we go. A little bit of orange. Just not a lot of orange because I don't want it to go super orangey. But somewhere in there. Lots of water. I grabbed a little bit more glazing medium again. And I'm just using this fan brush and kind of scooping it up on the fan brush like a little spatula almost, and then turning it over and splattering it down. It's going to take a minute for it to dry.
So do they do splatters in watercoloring?
Yeah.
Watercolors?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah. All right, and then another thing that I can do, if I can find them, find my little syringes. Where are they? Where did I put them? Can you go out there and grab, there's a little syringe, little bulb syringe in the water cup out there. So if I want bigger splops, if you have like a little, syringe, like a medicine syringe or something like that, perfect. Thank you.
There's water in it.
Okay. Something like this. I'm going to try to see if I can get it to lay out some bigger. Just suck a little bit of it in there and blob. Yeah, see, just some bigger blobs. There we go.
But we wouldn't recommend using like a straw.
Well, no.
No. You don't want to suck it up in the straw.
I don't think you probably could get it. I don't know. Maybe you could.
I'm being silly. Please don't do that.
So, okay, that's good enough. Just wanted a few little bigger ones. And I mean, you can also just kind of plop them in by hand too. So I'm going to get a little bit more white here and do a few more with the white and just dab them in with my brush. And I'm kind of going in sort of this arc around like a semicircle here. Not too much in the corners. We kind of see that shape forming. Okay, so we'll leave that and we'll come back to it. Probably ruin that for my watercolors. Well, that's all right. I'll use that and find another one. Yeah, so I'll add my greenery over the top of that, and I might add splatters on top of it again, but For now, that'll do. Let that dry and try not to touch it while we're doing this bottom part here. But yeah, I mean, I think that that would be actually really pretty if you just like kept going and layered a bunch more, added some darker ones and lighter ones, and
Let's do that.
maybe just do a few little circles here and there.
Let's
You
call
could
an audible.
have a really cute little one. Call that and one and done. Just boom.
Haven't seen it before.
No, that's true. I haven't either.
Boom.
Well, I'll show you kind of that. I'll do a little bit of what I would do, and then we'll go a little bit farther, but I'll show you a simplified version, and then we'll go a little. So I want to go darker than that background, so I'm going to add a little bit more black to my white here, and pull it across this section here. Where my top of my brush is. We're going to have stuff coming down over this. I'm not too worried about that top edge being perfect, but, you know, get it close if you can.
So this is a watercolor canvas?
It's a watercolor canvas, but it's just that just means it's good for water-based paint, so
Okay.
it doesn't have to be watercolors. Just acrylic. We're using acrylics, obviously, so
Okay.
on it. But yeah, it does kind of perform like paper. If you use watercolors, it can sort of replicate paper. It's got a kind of a absorbent ground on it for watercolor, more than other canvases would. All right, so we'll let that dry. We're obviously going to add some reflections and things to that, but we just need to let that set. Clean out this brush. Get some of that yellow oxide and burnt umber. Now you can use any color you want for this. So I've got 3 examples here of some different brushes that I have. You know, black handle. Obviously they come in colored handles too. So, you know, we could do white but I think I'm going to do just a natural wood color. So I'll use that to kind of try to get a color match, color comparison for these purposes. So a little bit of white with that burnt umber and yellow oxide, and I think we're pretty close there. That'll do. I'm going to turn this just a little bit, just so I can get a straight line. It's easier to kind of go, I find, go right to left or left to right with my paint if I have it angled a little bit. It's just easier than going straight across. It's just more natural to kind of have room in your natural arm swing, whatever. But whatever is comfortable for you, but I would just say don't feel like you can't move your canvas. If you're having trouble getting a straight line, pick it up and turn it. Even on an easel, you can turn it to the side, or I've done it where I've held it, you know, with one hand on the easel and had just the corner of it setting on the easel. Oh, it's running. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool though. I'll let that happen. While I was doing that, I'm just gonna make it happen because it's happening. So, well, it's supposed to look like kind of paint splotches with the flowers, and anything that we don't like, we can just cover with more paint. So we're fine. All right. Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Happy accident. Thanks, Bob. Okay. Right. And I'm not gonna get much of a wood grain on this today, just because I'm not gonna spend a ton of time perfecting every little bit, but this is probably going to be the hardest part. So if you're a beginner, what you could do is tape this off and just do tape here for the narrow handle and kind of square it off or angle it off on the tip, and then just by hand do this little corner here and here. You know, tape off the rectangle, tape off this section, and then just paint the little bits in. So there are ways around, you know, having to paint it all by hand if you're not comfortable with that. And this brush is a little bit big too, though, so this brush is probably a little, making it a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. You could use a smaller brush. Just see that there's like a little streakiness there. We'll probably need to come back and give it a second coat. But for now, I think that'll do. Let me see, that's gonna need some time. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna get some of that sap green. And I'm gonna use that as kind of my background color in the middle here. And I'm gonna go right kind of along that edge there and up with it. And I'm going to use this brush. I'm just gonna keep it and dab out little leafy brush strokes and try to fill in this middle part fairly dark. And it's okay if it kind of blends with what's already there, because all this is going to be covered by flowers, so not worried about it. Just gonna get it going, and then I'm gonna have Mark dry it for me so we can. It's just helping skip a step here. So I want to bring some of the greenery out this way, so I'm going to kind of cover some of that up there, bring it down here a little bit. And kind of keep an eye on, you know, giving it a little bit of variety there, up and down. All right, I think that looks good. I'm going to let Mark take that and dry it really well for me.
I'll bring it outside.
And I can clean my hands up and my workstation up, clean out these brushes. I guess this one's not been used yet. Oh no, it was used because I dabbed on that pink with it. Okay. Welcome if you're new. Glad to have you. And if you're coming back for more from regulars, super glad to have you guys. We are enjoying the spring. It's been so fun here. I'll put the flowers back in so you have something to look at besides me. My hands. We've also got some bachelor buttons that came up here. These ones here. Look how blue they are compared to the purple of the delphinium. The delphinium look kind of bluish when you look at them, you know, outside. But then when you see the bachelor buttons against them, they're like a true blue flower, which I love. Blue flowers. It's my favorite. I like blue, and I love this kind of corally color, and they look really pretty together. Coral peachy color. I'm so happy that my snapdragons came back, and I had one of these blossoms fall off, and realized why they're called snapdragons, because I never really understood the name much. But if you look at the flower, they kind of grow like this. This is the top portion. It's only 2 petals, but look at the mouth of it. It's got a little mouth, and if you let go, This one is dead, so, but it snaps shut. It really is like a little dragon. So cute. I would have had a really fun time with that when I was a kid. I have a fun time with it now, so no lie. All right.
Juicy.
Yeah, it was. That's why I was like, yeah, this is going to take a while. All right. I'll set this aside over here, I guess. Yeah, I figure we're going to have a Larkspur Delphinium tall canvas probably next month, because I've got a ton of them blooming right now all along the back fence that seeded themselves. Or actually, I seeded them last year and they didn't come up, and I thought that they just were dud seeds, but they overwintered and came back like strong. So really excited. All right, that's looking good. Got some fun little paint splattery things going on. I like it. I love this drippy stuff that happened. That was a happy little surprise. All right, I'm gonna rub off all my chalk marks. So now I've got a clean slate, and I'm gonna grab this flat brush again, and we'll do our little highlights on here. Ooh, I've got a lot of water on here. Clean some of that off. Get some white. My white is the heavy body acrylic over here, so there we go. Got a little bit of that gray from before, which was just black and white, I think. It was just carbon black and white. And I'm going to do kind of a mid-tone gray, like a little bit lighter than the background right here. Leaving a little bit of that dark gray showing. And then I'm going to get some of that. And I don't want it too soupy, so I'm glad that I'm using the heavy body white here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space. I'm going to pull across here and then let it blend out. I'm going to try to get as even as I can. Probably not going to be super even, but it's okay if there's some little lines there. So just pulling across to get that. And if you don't have too much paint on your brush, and I'm kind of really laying my brush almost flat there, it's just catching the canvas a little bit. I'm going to get my white now and come back in and do some little white. Just have a little bit of white on the very tip now. I'm just pulling it and lifting it off, trying to get it fairly even. Okay, that's probably as good as it's going to get. All right, so let me go back to this gray, and I'm going to hold my brush upright and do a line across. Now, if you want to, we can kind of hold it at an angle and just use the tip, the flat edge, and tap across. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. Just try to kind of keep an eye on your line. Try not to get too far over, but the flat of this brush, if you start out flat and you just kind of walk it over, you can pretty much get a straight line fairly easily. Okay, and then I'm going to leave a little bit of space here for my rivets and do another line there across into my dark. And then on this side, I'm going to get a little bit of that kind of darker mid-dark and do another little just kind of finishing line there. And then maybe another small one above it. That kind of just makes it look rounded on either end. Okay. And then there is a little bit of this kind of the lines kind of going over the edge, so I'm just going to bring those over the edge a little bit into those other areas. Try to continue that line around that corner a little bit. And then we're just going to try to keep it fairly simple, so I'm going to just kind of really like pull back on the need to perfectionize this. Whatever. And yeah, we'll just use our little round brush and do little circles. So we'll do 4 rivets. 1, and I've got the black with a little bit of white in it. 2, and this is in between that bottom line there and the bottom of the brush. I'm kind of try to put them sort of in generally the same spot. And then I'm going to get some of my white. Do a little, I need a smaller brush. Get my white and adding a little bit of water just so that it's easy to use. I've gotten a little smaller round. This is a 1 round here. Okay, so now I can come in and do my little semicircle, and I'm going to come in just on the inside of that black and just do a little semicircle. Can't even see this one. Okay, there we go. And then on the bottom side, I'm going to do the gray. So the back half, I'm going to do like a mid-tone gray that was sort of our gray color that we were using. Right? Isn't that crazy? And then just to kind of make it a little bit more, bump it up 1 more notch, I'm going to get a little bit of white and just kind of come across that corner there and dab a little bit of more white to make it look a little bit more round and shiny. And this is where you can kind of touch up any little bits that you missed, or, you know, if you need a little bit brighter white on some of these, especially in your highlight area, you might need to do a little bit more there. And then I'm going to go back to that flat brush just because it's going to be easier than using the round. You could use the round if you want to do, if you're comfortable with the round brush, but I'm going to use the flat brush here and get some of this kind of mid gray, which is just a little bit lighter than that background black was that we started with. And I'm going to come just up underneath my white line. And by the time we get past this light area, you probably won't see it. So just going to kind of use it to highlight underneath that white line there. And that's about it, right, for that part. It looks real, doesn't it? It's crazy. Just a little bit of light and dark in the right places, and you can kind of get that form happening. So let's do the same thing with our brush down here. Let me think. I do want some wood grains, so I'm going to get a little bit of my burnt umber and my unbleached titanium. I'm just going to kind of run some lines down. And then just use my finger to kind of spread it out. This is just kind of trying to get a little bit of a streakiness in there. Could also dry brush with like a stiff bristled brush. So if you have a like a blender brush and use like a thicker heavy body acrylic for this, both of these are heavy body. I could take it and pull down into my brush to create some streaks. Again, it's kind of tricky being that it's a shape, you know, So doing this is difficult in a small space, but you can still get a little bit of it. And again, like you could do this with it. You could mask out this area with some tape, and that'd probably be the easiest way, because then you wouldn't have to worry about it covering anything. So that's going to be about as good as it's going to get there for me. I'm not going to worry too much about it. So the first thing we want to do is to get a little bit of a shadow underneath our top portion. So right here, there's a little bit of a shadow if you look at it the right way. So I'm going to get a little bit of black and my burnt umber and some glaze. The glaze is just going to make that paint more transparent. You can use water, that's fine. It's, you know, it's not ideal if you use too much water with heavy body acrylics, but if you don't have the glaze, then, you know, just use what you got. All right, so I'm going to go right up underneath there and just add a little bit of a thin, you can see it's just a transparent line right up underneath there. If it's super noticeable, then you've gone too dark. So you want it to be barely noticeable. And then I'm going to go down, and I'm going to use a little bit thicker glaze this time. I'm going to go down the width of this section there with a little bit of dark, and then try to kind of figure out about how wide this brush is. This is the 2 round, so it's about that wide there, maybe not quite a 1/4 inch wide. I'm going to come down and try to kind of do about the same width all the way down here to make my shadow on my brush. This side. Just follow it down on this shadow side too. And I'm going to kind of make a straight line up, and then again, this is just making it more realistic, so if you want to keep it more simple, you can watch the old video that I did. I had paintbrushes there that I don't remember how I did them, so they might be a little bit more simplified. I'm not really sure. It's been a few years. So I'm going to do it now on this side. This is the inside. Right there. Okay, and then on the other side, we're going to do the lighter version. So, and there is a little bit of a darkish, I can't remember what color we used for that, for the background. I think it was mostly yellow oxide and burnt umber, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit darker than the background. And right here, this portion is a little bit darker than the rest. And then it goes light. And I'm going to use a little bit of this kind of mid-tone here to transition. And then I'm going to get some unbleached titanium. Brush that into this. And so right about where it kind of starts to curve straight down, straighten out, I'm going to go to unbleached titanium, bring that around here, and then we get some white and put that right on that sharp edge right there where it is kind of cut in. All right, I'll wipe my brush out, and I'm just going to use that damp brush to kind of blend over that and soften off any really hard edges. Like that. And then get a little bit more of that and go right here on the inside. All right, I think that's pretty good. Oh, and I forgot right here too. This part's white. A little bit right there. Right, and then if you want to, you can kind of use this to dry brush a little streakies on there, but I think that's good. I'm going to leave that. Call that good enough. My circle's a little bit off center, but oh well. You know, it is what it is.
The judges are.
What?
The judges are.
They get a 9.5.
Well, they're like having a little side discussion on how much deductions we will have here.
Here, I'll fix it. How's that?
No, please don't.
I do want to round that out a little bit more. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of that lighter color and bring it on this side a little bit farther out. There we go. It'll make it look more rounded. Burnt umber, yellow oxide. And I'm just going to go over it. Going to help that transition between that dark and light area. And then get my dark color again and go in with the dark. The dark part should only be like this third right here, and then this section here and here should be kind of the mid-tone, and then the light tone is on this side. So the circle's a little tricky, but yeah, so we got a realistic looking brush. Yay. Awesome. You could also, which I might do, we could also use some, maybe some plum purpley color with my black over here. I don't want it too purple, but use kind of a dark plum. Got magenta and burnt umber, black here. My glaze. I'm just going to come up right up next to it on this side and kind of do a, and I've thinned out this paint. So just go right up next to the brush. And this is working out pretty good. I don't have too much on here, but then you can kind of use your finger if it, you know, goes on real thick. But put the color right up next to where you want it darkest, and then you can kind of use your finger to sort of blend it out. And it's okay if it doesn't look, you know, super smooth, but I think we're close there. All right, now it looks a little bit more three-dimensional. We'll put a few little shadows over here where the flowers are going to be, and then we already knew our light source was coming from this side, so that's why our shadow's on that side too. I should have mentioned that. Okay, let's get going here on flowers. 45 minutes on the boring stuff. Got an hour and 15 minutes to do flowers. Yes. Okay, so I said I would show you if you want to do very simple flowers. Let's just kind of do a couple, and you'll get the idea of what I was talking about. So you could literally do dots, or you could just do little swirls. So I'm going to get a little bit of the magenta and do like a little swirly swirl here, and then some white version of it and do another swirly there, and we could call that good. Why don't we? I don't know. It looks kind of good, right? I mean, why not? Should we do, let's vote. Let's see what the chat wants to do. Should we do some little simple daisies and swirlies and like keep it really super simple? This part's not super simple, but, or do it more realistic like the reference photo. So I'll do a couple more of these while I'm while we're debating. Chat amongst yourselves. So a little bit of the darker color, a little bit of the lighter, and then the white.
Okay, we got love it, simple please, like it, looks great so far, simple,
Okay.
it's beautiful.
All right, let's do simple.
I'm down for whatever Mark wants. Sorry, Angela wants, sorry. Simple.
Okay. So we'll do simple then. That's good. I like simple. Simple is good. This one lends itself to the simple, I think, really well. So let's do two here, and a third one. We could do another one like real close to it, a little bit bigger, or we could do one across and leave room for some other things. I tend to like to do at least three of each kind of thing, either a single one or three of them. So let's do some of this color over here, and we'll do a big one over here. So little semicircles. Get the dark color. This is kind of the mid-tone. Get the dark color and swirl in like a couple C strokes in the middle. And then wipe it off and get some white. Blend that in just a little bit, not too much. And then kind of pick out where I want my highlights to be. And so I've got my dark here. So let's do a little highlight over here, a little bit there. Like if I do a big one, then I'll do a small one kind of opposite. Right? And then kind of go in between these two over here maybe and do like a swirly here. I want to kind of break it down so you kind of get an idea because I'm going pretty fast here so you can replicate it. And then it looks like maybe right here could use one. And then maybe do one more, and I'm again gonna kind of try to bridge the gap because I got a petal here and here. So let's kind of just do one right there. And I'm using that corner of the brush just to do these little quick little C strokes. All right, let's do one right here. Do one here. All right, there we go. We'll leave that. Those will be our little roses. Okay, now let's do a few leaves before we get too far because I want some stuff in the background. So I want some kind of teal like leaves. So I'm going to get that cobalt teal, or actually that's just teal. Teal is with phthalo green and phthalo blue and white. So if you don't have it, you can mix it. Really easy. So let's do some eucalyptus. So I'll do a kind of a line here out. And then for eucalyptus, we'll do like those little tiny petals on either side. Kind of like that.
So somebody
Just setting my brush down sideways.
who's watched you a little bit said that you always start out simple and then you get it detailed.
Well, guilty.
Guilty.
You are true, sir. Or ma'am. That is not a lie. These are simple. These are not hard. Those eucalyptus not hard. All right, let's do another one here. So we'll do three. We'll do one here, up here, and just do a couple. So I'm gonna dab, 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 dab in the middle, dab, dab, and as I get farther down, I'm gonna go bigger with the dabs. Okay. Let's do another one here. And I don't want them to be equally spaced, so if I go here, it'll be kind of a triangle, which I'm not loving. So I might do another one up here instead. Well, let me think. Think. Yeah, let's do one here so that it's kind of not quite a triangle. We'll do one here. Just doing a little stem. Yeah, that'll be better. I don't want it to be fully opposite that, though. Kind of wish I'd thought about that.
Is it possible to do a combo? throw in a few realistic ones with
Yeah,
the.
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, so that's good. And we'll probably add some highlights to that. Those are pretty juicy, so I'm gonna leave them be, but I'll add some highlights to those. I wanted a little bit of teal in there. My color palette is going to be kind of this, like plum, indigo, like a kind of a mustardy yellow indigo, or kind of like a deep blue, and then like a plum, which is that magenta, and then like a peachy pink with my turquoise. Okay, so those are kind of like ahead of time. I was like thinking, which is similar to what we've got here, right? You know, we've got the mustard, we've got, this would be like our indigo here, and then our peachy pink colors and our plum colors in the deepest parts of these here. So I saw a color palette. It's colored pencils. I was watching a colored pencil video, or like a travel thing. I like to watch those like color kits videos, watching things, and they had that kind of palette there. It was like and it also had like a sap green, kind of like olivey green. So with this, which looks really nice together. So that was the idea. All right. So I want to leave this, I think. So I don't think I'm going to put anything out there or here over this or there. I'm going to kind of work in the center a little bit more. I may want to do a few more leaves, so I might get my green gold and my white and a little bit of the yellow oxide to make it a little bit more of a, maybe even a sap green there. Yeah, so kind of a light, similar to what we had going on here in our splatters. And I'm just going to kind of do a few little leafy strokes coming out. Maybe some taller, longer ones. Okay. Then we'll work our flowers around those. So I definitely want like a long delphinium type of, or verbena, what is this called? Oh, I always forget the name of it. Not verbena. This one. These specky ones here. Starts with an S. Can't think of it. It's not status. Salvia. Salvia. Salvia would be easy, so if we want to go that way, we'll do salvia. So let's do that kind of indigo color, and I'm going to mix it with this dark plum that we have here. So I'm going to do ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and magenta to get our dark purple, and then maybe a little tiny bit of black. All right, so let's do that out here. We'll just do a couple. I'm going to put that color down and dab, 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 dab. Dab, 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 and get smaller as I go out toward the tip. Okay. Nice. Maybe one out here. And then maybe I need at least two over here, probably. to make it an odd number. So let's do one here. And I'm not going to go out as far as that one. Then maybe we can do one in the middle here, coming up over our... Okay, we'll see. This may need to move, but... Okay. All right, so these are, no, not quite dry enough. Let's keep going here. Let's do some little, daisies, like little orangey colored. So I'm going to get the cadmium red or cadmium yellow medium and my orange, and I'm going to add just a little bit of that magenta to it. Ooh, that was turned it very red very quickly. Maybe find another spot over here, because I want it to be kind of a salmony pink, peachy orange, not just orange. Okay, there we go. A little bit more white, a little bit more magenta. We got there. I probably could have just used the orange with the magenta and white to get this color. Okay. I still had green in my brush. That's what's making it look weird. It's like, why is it turning green? It's like my green is full on in there. All right, let me get my round brush again. We'll just do this with the round brush because we're going to do little daisies anyways. So let me clean off my palette first though, because I've got no room to mix anything. Gonna get rid of all this gray that I'm not using and the brown from the wood. And I don't think I'm using this anymore either. It's dried out. Okay. Clean paper towel, just reset. All right, got some clean space to work. Let's go. Yeah, so this is all pretty wet here. I'm trying to see if that previous, I think the eucalyptus is ready for a shadow color and highlight. So I'm going to use the Cobalt Teal and my Phthalo Green and a little bit of burnt sienna. And maybe a little tiny bit of blue, Phthalo Blue. There we go. Phthalo Blue and burnt sienna together make a nice dark turquoisey color. This is pretty, and this will neutralize this enough to make it not look so candy, candy colored. So I'm just kind of going through and kind of on the bottom, away from the light, adding a little bit of a flick of color. To shadow it. Okay. And then I hope that I can use that color again, because that's a pretty color. I don't think I'm gonna, well, yeah, I guess I will highlight it. So let's go ahead and just add some white to that color that I just had. And we'll come on the opposite side here and kind of where the light might hit. Actually, didn't really think this through because this, what's bottom here is facing the light, but okay, that's all right. We probably should have shadowed the opposite side on this side here. So just little highlights there. This is that phthalo blue. Phthalo blue, burnt sienna, white. Has a little bit of the phthalo turquoise or the cobalt teal or teal color in it too. All right. Let's see, it's just kind of a matter of like adding just a little bit of interest, a little bit of shadowing. 3 values at least usually will do it. Give something form. It doesn't have to be complicated, just kind of pick a light side and shadow on your dark side, highlight on your light side, and the neutral in the middle, or mid-tone in the middle. All right, so I'm going to get some of that purple and make a mid-tone. Dab that on here on my status. No, not status, in my salvia. Keep trying to say that. Not right. This is similar to the color that we splattered in the background with the Ultramarine Blue. That's pretty. Okay, it's a nice neutral purple too. I like it. Not too overpowering. I don't tend to like purples that are really like straight dioxazine purple or something, you know. They just tend to overpower things to me. Much more prefer a muted purple. All right, that looks good. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brighter, like add a little bit of mauve or magenta to it to make a kind of a pink highlight color. That'll just brighten it up and give it a different color and also sort of unify it with what's going on in the rest of the painting. So we pick a side and just do this on the one side a little bit right here. And I'm like literally just dabbing little dots just on that one side that is facing our light source. So here it'll be on the top. Okay, looks good. Let's do some of those little. Actually, let me do the largest flowers first, and then we'll do our smaller one, fillers. So I know I want a couple of white daisies, so we'll do those next. I'm going to use some fluid acrylic. And let's go over the border of this a little bit and do one. I don't know if I want it straight in the middle. Let's do one right here, I think. So we'll do it sort of the center right there. And we'll fill in this whole area with it. Right, so just kind of pulling from the outside in. I'm using the round brush and letting it do the work here. Just setting it down out. If my paint is fluid enough, I can do it in one little brush stroke. Set it down, pull it, and lift. And just keep going around just like the spokes on a wheel. Right, that's a little bit like too perfectly round, so I'm going to mess it up a little bit. And maybe add a few like shadowy shadowy petals. I'm going to get some of this green here and a little bit of my ultramarine blue, I think. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna or burnt umber to gray it out. So make it like a blue-gray. I'm going to come between and kind of do some brush strokes in between. I made the petals pretty small on this one too. You can make them a little bit bigger, do fewer, it's up to you. There's all kinds of different daisies, you know. So, all right, so there we've got a little variety in the petals. I'm going to go back to my white and just kind of hit up a few of them right along the edge and make sure they're nice and bright. Might do like another layer, so maybe these are like an aster or a mum. And have like 2 layers of petals, like a smaller layer inside the other layer. Okay, that looks good. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. All right. And then, do we want more? I think that's a single flower one because it's really overpowering. It's got a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, so I'm going to get the sap green and my India yellow and a little bit of burnt sienna. And do the dab in kind of a dark olivey green yellow, greenish yellow for the center. I'm going to kind of make it slightly oval there. All right, I hope that dies down. If it doesn't die down, we'll have to glaze it too because it's really bright. I'm not loving how bright it is. All right, let's get some magenta and orange, and let's get some of that cadmium yellow. Make that orangey peach color. Salmon. So I want more magenta in this. There we go. Kind of that. Yeah, that's pretty. Okay. So that'll be our dark version of it, and then we'll go lighter. So let's put this over the top here, coming down over this a little bit, and we'll start to fill in this gap. So we'll do like 3, sort of one right here, one right here, one right here, like that. Okay, and then we'll do a couple more up here. One up here maybe. Let me think. Where else do I want? So I need a few more flowers up in here. Let's do some yellow. Yeah, yellow. So we'll do the kind of mustardy yellow, that cadmium yellow, medium. And I'm going to add a little bit of white just so that it covers well. And just trying to decide if I want to do, I guess I'll do daisies again. I was thinking I could do like tulip or cosmos or something. Let's do like a Cosmo. So Cosmo is like a little bit more like flattened out petals that are not as rounded. And they're like maybe add another orange one somewhere else. Yeah, so that's cute. Let's do one kind of facing up away from us. So that one would be kind of like this. And then we'd have like a little butt end here that's got some green coming down, attached to the bottom of it. Like that. Right. Yeah, that, like, I'm always like, when I do the simplified flowers, I'm like, I want to make them perfect, but I'm at that point right now where I'm like fighting my urge to detailify these, you know. Okay. To keep them sort of the, yeah, so that's cute. So I'm gonna kind of use that shape for this one a little bit more. I like that shape a little bit better. I kind of got a little round on this one, so I'm gonna try to make these a little bit more pointy. Coming back in with some white to help cover. I do like the peachy pink that's going on in this one, so I'm not gonna get rid of all of that. Just try to kind of adjust the shape a little bit. Let's go back in with this one. Give it a second coat. And then come back in the tips of these and just add a little bit of the light color to the tips of that one. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, so I think I want another one down here facing away. Right here. Yeah, right here. So like 1, 2, 3 together. That's kind of what, sort of one and sort of a little bit taller than the other in the middle. And then the dark green comes up towards the tip and then kind of just does this little nubbin at the bottom there to attach, and then the stem coming in. All right, I like it. And then we'll just fill in with some leaves and things. So I think I'm going to do a little bit more of these peachy flowers. Maybe do one up here and up here, just to fill in. I think I'm pretty happy with those. Let's get some white and create our light version or mid-tone version of this color. This will actually be kind of more of our lightest version. And these are kind of like almost like, I don't know what these flowers are actually. I'm kind of doing, I decided to go ahead and do a little bit more rounded petals for them. So they're like a, probably need to do 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. They're ending up being pretty light because I'm fixing them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are very juicy. A lot of flowers have 5 petals like this, so it's easy to just kind of fudge a flower, and if all else, just do a little simple 5-petaled flower. There's a bazillion flowers that look like this, different, you know, varieties. So, okay, coming back in with my mid-tone. Or toward the middle. Got Got some wind going on out there tonight. Can hear it outside the studio. Blowing. If we don't lose any more trees, knock on wood. My best friend's, her backyard, she had this huge oak tree, like so big you can't get your arms around it, and it fell over in the last storm and tore up, like she showed the picture of the root ball with her husband standing next to it, and it is a good 3 feet higher than him, easily standing next to the root ball. So it's a good 10 foot probably, or so, maybe. Not that he's, 8 foot tall, whatever, but anyhow, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's 7 foot tall.
No. But I don't know how big the root ball is, if it's big.
We get what
It's
you're
huge. What?
We get it.
Yeah, you get it. Huge, massive tree. And it fell over and thankfully fell in the road, hit 2 cars, didn't hit any people, didn't hit any houses, but it took out the power lines, so they just and their water, tore up their water lines out of the ground there underneath, so they haven't had water until today. That was like last week. Yeah, so she just texted today, said, we have water. Oh, geez.
So your biggest fan is
Noah. I made some orange flowers for you, Noah. She said orange was her favorite color the other day. That was my granddaughter. She was showing me her orange crayon. Love it.
doing some art like her Gigi.
Yep. We've already done several. All right, so just going back into my leaves now and adding little highlights to the leaves I've already done. Just kind of grabbing that color that I was already using. And I'm going to come back in with a little bit of like really bright white and dab that on in a couple places. And you can see how all of these like leaves that we did before was nice. I kind of wish I'd even come out a little bit more because I think, you know, I covered up a lot of it. But I'm really liking how this is turning out with the splatters and everything. I think it looks really cool. I think I'm going to replicate some splatters coming down here. Just a little bit with this green color. I'm just going to put a little bit, maybe a little too much there. Get a little bit of the glaze too. So I'm getting some of that eucalyptus color, and I think I'm going to try to get it to come down like right here and just do a little bit of a drip. Kind of starting from right about there. You kind of have to get enough color on there that's fluid enough for it to want to move. And the trick, if you want to lead where it goes, is to put a little bit of water where you want it to go. And then when it catches that stream, it'll go right where you've put that water. Because otherwise sometimes it'll go to the side or whatever. But I want it to come down, I think, a little bit below this. There we go. See, now it caught that water that I just did. Okay, I like it. So let's do another one. Maybe no, I don't think I need to. But maybe let's put one coming off the end of this one here. Or actually, let's do it off the tip of it here. All right, so I'm going to try to catch up that end with my water. And then if you want it to stop and not go any further, you can get some thicker paint and just blob it on where you want it to end. And then it won't go any farther. So I think it would be kind of cool to have it coming off of that just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of water here down to there. And then we'll just add some color up there and let gravity do the work. All right. Maybe do like 2 little ones side by side, just so it doesn't look like so perfect. All right. Cute. And then I might dab it off just a little bit once it starts to dry, just so it's not so dark. That looks cool though, having it kind of drip off of it there on the end, I think. Yeah, I don't think I like this one. I think it was too much. All right, that's good. Yay, yeah, that's turning out good. All right, so let's get some yellow, cadmium yellow light. How are we doing on time? Oh, perfect.
You're doing great.
Perfect. Cadmium yellow light, a little bit of white. And I'm going to dab, dab, and I'm not going to go all the way over the top of that, so I'm going to leave a little bit of that dark right along the edge and just dab, dab, dab. Here. Again, this is our bright side, so I want the most bright at the top of this, almost solid, and then as it comes down, I'm going to dab less and less. There we go. Good. All right, so this is definitely too bright, like in the middle there. It's still a little bit wet, but I think I can get in there. Get a little bit of my shadow color, which was that blue, and then I'm going to get a little bit of burnt sienna and some glaze, and I'm going to go right up close to my flower right here. Right up next to that opening. That'll just, having just a little bit of dark right there, just make it look like it's kind of sunken in a little bit right there. Make it a little bit darker with the burnt sienna. And dab a little bit of burnt sienna right over the center even a little bit. And then pull it out. Just use your finger if you get too far out. You can use a paper towel if you don't want to get the paint on your fingers. This is cadmium yellow hue, so it's not, well, actually that was cadmium yellow in the middle, but I'm not dabbing the cadmium yellow. I'm getting the India yellow and dabbing on the center there to make it a little bit more lemony. Now it looks better, right? Now it's not so in your face. I definitely think I probably want some more white because it's like the only white. So I'll probably do like a few little dibby dabs of white somewhere else just so that it's not so in your face white. I'm the only white there, you know. So I'm gonna get some white here. How's it going?
It's going good. All the trees are still standing.
Oh, good.
Ooh, somebody asked maybe some purple drip.
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe
we
off
can do
that
some
bottom
purple
right,
drip.
Off that bottom right one, maybe.
Ah, that'd be cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea. Bonus points. Thank you. Good idea. All right, so yeah, that helps. That little bit of white here and there, just kind of to... All right, now it doesn't like focus everything on that one area. It's when you have like a color like that that's so bright and so, you know, like especially that intense of a white, it's gonna draw the attention a lot, and so you kind of need to spread the love a little bit. All right, I'm going to use the white here, and I'm just noticing like right here, I think I could go a little bit brighter now that this is dry. Just going to do a little dab down and separate out these lines here, not, yeah, there we go. Ooh, that's pretty. All right, so a little bit of purple off the end of this guy. I do have a little bit of that purple too. thankfully. So let's do our water where we want it to go. Probably down to here maybe. Get a little bit more of that color there. And then, I don't know where you came from. Just all of a sudden some water going down. Let's get a little bit of that darker purple. I feel like it's a little too light right there. Okay, there we go. Nice. Yeah, good idea. All right, and I might even do a couple little splishy splashes of that purple kind of in other places around it. Like as if it's kind of dripped off of it. Okay. Okay, so what color do we want our center of our cosmos to be? I think I'm going to do dark. So maybe like a dark, and that's the question for these ones too. Maybe these ones will do, let me think. Think. What do we want? So let's do magenta maybe for these ones. Let's do like a dark plum color. Maybe a little bit of blue and our tiny bit of black. Mostly magenta. And maybe a little bit of white. Yeah, that's pretty. Okay, let's see how that looks with that orange though. We want to make sure it's not ugly. Might go a little bit more magenta-y. Yeah, that's good. And then maybe we'll add a little bit of yellow. I don't know. I don't know if I love that. Maybe it needs to be more of the same orange, like maybe add a little bit of orange so it's like more red. More of like a deep burgundy instead of a plum. That looks almost identical because it's so dark. Let's go a little bit lighter with it. Okay, so this is like a dark burgundy with a little bit of white added. It's still pretty dark. But I think I like it. This almost reminds me of a cherry blossom kind of shape. So you can make them like a light pink if you wanted to do cherry blossom vibes. I like this color. Trying to do little dots. That one's not cooperating. There we go. Okay, yeah, we'll let that set and dry, and then we'll add a highlight color to them. And let's do the centers of our cosmos. I wish I had some cosmos sitting in front that I could see what colors they might be. I can't remember what mine are. Yellow. Cosmos. Ah, okay. Yeah, so it's got like another yellow, like a deeper yellow in the center. Okay, that's cool. We'll do that. That's good. kind of a really dark, similar to what we did here, but more intense yellow. So India Yellow, Cadmium Yellow Light, or Cadmium Yellow Medium, I mean. And that's just to give it more opacity. And then a little bit of the burnt Sienna, which will darken it up a little bit. Dab, dab, dab. And, all right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We'll go with a little bit more burnt sienna and dab a little bit darker kind of toward the bottom. And this is very juicy painting. Like I don't usually paint this like thick, you know. So these layers are going to take time to dry. But yeah, I like that color a lot. That's really pretty. All right, and then let's get a little bit of white in my light yellow. And we'll just go in kind of the middle of that and dab in some of this light yellow to give it a little highlight in the center. Okay. I think we're almost done here.
Maybe you should add green garden spider.
I'm going to use some of this gold color in the centers of these and just dab a couple little dots in the centers. Yeah, go. I actually thought about adding a butterfly to it. I do have time. I probably could do that. Yeah, this little dab of yellow helps. Just a little bit in the center.
Any berries?
Dark. Berries? Yeah, could do berries. Yeah, that's a good idea. Those are good filler.
Tanks?
Are you getting suggestions from people, or are you just throwing out ideas?
I mean, you were saying yes to everything, so I just tried to slip something in.
Making some dark red here, and I'm going to kind of dab out from the centers of these little guys with a little bit of reddish color to give them some definition. One of these days I'm going to take you up on your offer. I've already tried that though. Nobody liked your tanks. I'm sorry, honey. They weren't into it.
We've broken 10,000. Hold on a second, check.
I don't think so. Last time I checked, it was like 4,000 views on it. And the tank video that I did years ago for Mark. It was like one of my statistically lowest.
9.5 thousand.
Whoa, wow.
In 5 years. I mean, that's screaming.
Hey, that's better than the one I did last week, so.
Well, yeah, but give it 5 years.
True. All right, gonna get a little bit of white with my peachy color here. I'm just gonna kind of dab in some little highlights along the tips. So I did the darker color like toward the middle, and now just kind of coming in and trying to get a little bit of a highlight on some of these petals, just like we did with the, leaves and for things. You want, kind of some separation of color. So this is our highlight on our tips of our petals. I still haven't done it on the Cosmos, which they kind of went on pretty streaky. So there's like mid-tones, dark tones all in there. I'll get a little bit of my yellow though. Come back in and do a couple. More brush strokes on a couple of those spots. Maybe a little bit on here. Okay. I think maybe I could use some yellow splatters, so I might do that over the top of everything. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we said butterfly. I don't think I'm going to do butterfly. I didn't leave myself room for one. If I was going to do one, I was going to do it up here. But, yeah, I don't really have time for it tonight. I don't think. But I think that would be a fun addition. If you can watch the multiple tutorials I have on butterflies and grab one that you like and make room for it on yours. I think I'm using some burnt sienna here just to dab on some darker color there around my flower centers at the bottom of them, like bottom half. What?
They do your butterfly logo on the handle.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. All right, I need a picture of it. Well, no, I don't know. But yeah, that's a good. That'd be cute.
Somebody said a bee.
Oh yeah. Okay, we could do a.
Ladybug.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me think. I need to have pictures of these things. Can't just come up with this stuff off the top of my head, guys.
You painted them the other day.
Well, yeah, but those are. I want one from the side. I don't want one flat. Okay. I think over here or over here. Trying to think where I want to put my bee. I think over here. Get my black.
A stick bug. Yes.
Stick
Stickman bug.
All right, I'm going to get some white here. I'm just ignoring that altogether. All right, I'm going to do wing. White here with my black wing. Wing. Cute. Then we'll get my black here. And they kind of do this little semicircle, so I'll kind of do his little bum here. And his head coming down here. And then the legs kind of come forward off. I'm going to integrate that. So the wings come down into the body a little bit. Yeah, cute. Okay, let's get some white here and give him a little eye. Whoop, don't put my hand in it, Pete. And then a little bit more black and give him kind of a pointy nose. There, kind of dabbed off the eye so it wasn't so bright. And a couple more legs. Dab, dab. Dab, dab. I really probably only needed 2 on that side. Let me see. Let's see if I can get that cleaned up. There we go. Okay. We'll just do 2 and 1. We'll let the body hide the rest. I think the other ones are on the other side of the body. Okay. Maybe round them out a little bit more, give them a little more chunky chunk. Cute. All right, then some yellow and white. Cadmium yellow light, white. I'm using the cadmium yellow light, or medium, I mean, because it's got white in it, that hue. It's the cadmium yellow medium Hue. It's a long word. It has PY74, which I'm not sure what that is. PY175, PY83. Oh, I thought it had white in it. Oh, maybe not. Okay, but anyhow, it's opaque, so, or at least semi-opaque, more opaque than the other yellows. That's the point. All right, so yellow on the boom, 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 dab, 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 and then another yellow stripe kind of right below the wings, and then another yellow stripe right by the head. Cute. Oh, I love it. Good idea. I like that. It's very cute. Nice. All right, then we'll want the kind of golden color to dab on with that yellow. I kind of use the brightest yellow just to kind of get a little bit, but kind of at the bottom there, I'm going to kind of use some of that and sort of overlap that transition between the black and the yellow in order to not make it look like stripes. Like you want to overlap your yellow dots into the black and the black dots into the yellow where they meet so that it looks a little bit more natural.
More floofy.
Yeah, more floofy. A little bit. I'm not doing a great job of that, but you don't have a lot of room to work here. Yeah, so there we go. Floof, fluff. Super cute. All right, and then yeah, let me get this yellow with my fan brush, and I'm just going to cover where I don't want this to go, but I want some bright yellow up here, down here, coming down, a little bit over here. Okay. Yeah, so I like that the splatters are random too. So I like deliberately kind of made it longer on this side than this side, and that just kind of helps the balance, kind of make it a little bit more interesting so it's not the same everywhere. I think that's it. I love it. I think that's one of my favorite ones that I've done in a while. It's really, really fun. And not too hard, I don't think. I think we kept it a little bit more approachable, hopefully. Hopefully you guys liked it and we'll try it. I'd love to see your versions of it. If you want to share it with me on social media, I've got all kinds of links down in the description and also places to buy if you're looking to get art supplies and want to know what I've recommended. I've got shop links down there and also information about how to get the traceable. So what I'll do is take this finished painting and I make a traceable of the exact design in black and white so that you can use it. And I'll show you what they look like. We just used this one when we did this painting for my patrons. This is the $15 tier, and these traceables are the $5 tier. So not this particular one because this is for this lesson. That's the $15 tier lessons. But anyhow, the traceables for all the YouTube videos and also my beginner series, which teaches you step by step how to start with acrylics, all about everything that you need to know to get started with acrylic painting. That is also part of that $5 tier on Patreon that's included with unlimited downloads of traceables, over 1,000 traceables probably at this point, I think, or maybe not quite that many now that I think about it. It's probably closer to 600-700, something like that, but a lot. We've done multiple tutorials over the years, and so traceables for every tutorial that we've done since 2017, almost 10 years worth of traceables, and literally hundreds of videos. And then also there's some bonus videos that have a little bit more detailed paintings also available at that $5 tier. And then this $15 tier is my tier that does a weekly live stream on Thursdays. So we do about an hour and a half to 2 hours every Thursday together, and we work on a project all month long until it's finished. So this was 4 weeks of lessons to get this one done, I think. Maybe 3 weeks, I can't remember. So
Yeah, but you're going through the whole design aspect.
Right, right. Yeah. So this one in particular, like we took multiple photos. The very first video, we did the design and we photoshopped different images. We did a digital drawing with it and made it traceable and all together. So you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that I do. This one also, we took photos and we cut them all out and we put them where we wanted them, and then we created our painting together on Thursdays and over several weeks. So it's much more of an in-depth of what I do before these Tuesday videos. So when I get to my Tuesday videos, I've already kind of got mapped out, you know, sort of my designs and my color choices and things like that. And that's the kind of stuff that we do together, as well as do these more, you know, difficult, complicated paintings that take several weeks to finish. So really fun. Hope you guys check that out if you're interested. And thank you for watching and hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you. Give it a thumbs up. Even just that, and watching our videos, sharing them to your friends on social media, all of that really helps support our channel, lets YouTube know that you like what we're doing and want to see more. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hope you come back next Tuesday. We'll be painting again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.